Mind tricks, simple ways to understand human behavior. Human behavior can seem mysterious at times, unpredictable, confusing, even contradictory. Why do people act one way in public but another in private? Why do we say one thing but do something completely different? Understanding human behavior isn't about manipulation, it's about awareness, seeing the patterns behind how people think, feel, and respond. In this video, we're going to explore some of the most fascinating mind tricks and psychological principles that can help you understand people on a much deeper level: friends, co-workers, strangers, and even yourself. 1. The mirror effect: how people reflect you. One of the simplest ways to understand someone's attitude toward you is to observe how they mirror your actions. Humans are wired to mimic people they like or feel comfortable around. It's called the chameleon effect. If you lean forward during a conversation and they do the same, it's a subtle sign they're engaged. If they cross their arms after you do, they're subconsciously aligning with your posture, a signal of rapport and empathy. But if someone's body language remains stiff, distant, or closed off when you're open and relaxed, it can signal disinterest, defensiveness, or discomfort. You can use this effect in reverse too. If you want to build trust or ease tension, gently mirror the other person's tone and posture. It signals understanding and syncs your emotional rhythm with theirs. 2. The halo and horns effect: how first impressions rule the mind. Have you ever met someone and immediately felt drawn to them, before you even knew much about them? That's the halo effect at work. Our brains are lazy when it comes to making judgments. If we notice one positive trait, like confidence, attractiveness, or humor, we automatically assume the person must also be kind, intelligent, and capable. The opposite is true too. One negative impression can cast a shadow over everything else. That's the horns effect. If someone seems rude once, our mind labels them as a rude person, even if they were just having a bad day. Understanding these biases can help you avoid overestimating or underestimating people based on first impressions. Next time you meet someone, pause for a second before you decide what kind of person they are. Your brain might just be filling in the blanks. 3. The law of reciprocity: why kindness is contagious. Human relationships run on invisible exchanges. When someone does something nice for us, we feel a strong urge to return the favor. That's the law of reciprocity. Marketers use this all the time, giving free samples, offering small discounts, or sharing exclusive tips. Once someone gives us something, even something small, we subconsciously feel indebted. In daily life, this law shapes how we build trust. Small acts of kindness, a compliment, a favor, or a genuine smile, often lead people to respond in kind. It's not manipulation, it's a psychological reminder that generosity triggers connection. If you want to understand someone's motives, look at what they give and what they expect in return. Those invisible transactions often reveal what they truly value. 4. The power of silence: why people fill the gaps. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. In conversations, silence feels like pressure, and whoever breaks it first often reveals more than they plan to. If you want to understand what someone really thinks, try this: ask a question, then stay silent. Don't rush to fill the pause. The moment you stop talking, you create a vacuum that most people instinctively fill with extra information. Salespeople, therapists, and negotiators use this all the time. Silence encourages people to elaborate, to clarify, and to reveal emotions they might have hidden behind rehearsed words. When you master the art of silence, you start to hear what people don't say, and that's often where the truth lives. 5. The consistency principle: why people stick to their story. Once someone commits to an idea, a belief, or a choice, they'll do almost anything to remain consistent with it. This is called the consistency principle. For example, if a person publicly states that they care about the environment, they're more likely to recycle, buy eco-friendly products, and defend green policies, even if those actions are inconvenient. Why? Because inconsistency feels like weakness. Understanding this can explain a lot of human stubbornness. People rarely change their minds just because they're shown better facts. To help someone see things differently, it's more effective to connect new information to what they already believe, rather than challenge their self-image head-on. 6. The projection trick: seeing ourselves in others. Here's a strange truth: when people describe others, they often reveal more about themselves. This is called psychological projection. Someone who constantly accuses others of lying might be struggling with honesty themselves. A person who insists that everyone is out to get them might be projecting their own distrust or guilt onto others. Projection acts like a mirror. The qualities we see most vividly in others are often reflections of what we either admire or fear within ourselves. When you pay attention to how people talk about others, you get a glimpse of their internal world. And when you catch yourself judging someone harshly, Ask, what does this say about me? That question alone can transform your emotional intelligence. 7. The power of scarcity, why we want what's rare. The moment something becomes scarce, it becomes valuable. That's the scarcity principle. It's the same reason limited edition sneakers, sold-out concerts, and only 2 left in stock messages make people act fast. But scarcity doesn't only apply to products, it applies to people too. Someone who gives their time freely might be appreciated, but someone who's selective about where they invest their attention often seems more desirable, confident, and respected. Understanding this helps you read behavior in relationships and social dynamics. When someone suddenly pulls away, their absence creates perceived value. The mind translates less availability into higher worth. That's why setting healthy boundaries isn't pushy, it's powerful. It signals that your energy has value. Point 8. The contrast effect, how comparison shapes perception. Imagine you're house hunting. You see a rundown property first, then a decent one. Suddenly the second house seems amazing. But if you'd seen a mansion first, the same decent house would look disappointing. That's the contrast effect. Our brains rarely evaluate things in isolation, we judge based on comparison. This principle affects everything from attraction to negotiation. A person might seem incredibly charming after you've met someone rude, or a job offer might seem better or worse depending on what came before it. If you want to understand how someone feels about a choice, look at what they're comparing it to. The reference point is often the real driver of their behavior. Point 9. The fundamental attribution error, why we misjudge others. When people mess up, we tend to assume it's because of their personality. They're careless, they're lazy, they're rude. But when we mess up, we blame circumstances. I was tired, I was stressed, I didn't have enough time. That's the fundamental attribution error. It's one of the most common psychological blind spots. Once you recognize it, empathy becomes easier. You start to see that behavior isn't just about who people are. Next time someone cuts you off in traffic or seems short-tempered, consider that they might be having a terrible day. That small shift in thinking not only helps you understand people better, it makes you calmer too. 10. The anchoring bias, the first number rules the mind. If you walk into a store and see a jacket priced at $400, then notice another one for $200, the second one suddenly feels like a deal, even though $200 might still be overpriced. That's anchoring bias. The first piece of information we receive sets the mental anchor for everything that follows. In conversations, people often anchor ideas, too. A negotiator might start high so that any compromise feels reasonable. A friend might exaggerate a story's first detail so the rest sounds believable. Understanding anchoring helps you stay objective. When someone presents a number, a claim, or a strong opinion, ask yourself, is this setting the tone for how I'm supposed to think? Awareness breaks the spell. Closing thoughts. Understanding human behavior isn't about decoding every smile or gesture like a detective. It's about awareness, seeing the hidden forces that guide decisions, emotions, and relationships. These mind tricks aren't magic, they're glimpses into how the human brain naturally operates. The more you understand them, the more empathetic and perceptive you become. Every action, every silence, every reaction tells a story. And when you start to listen, really listen, human behavior stops being confusing and starts becoming fascinating.